Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Good evening and welcome to Spring Global on Western Spring Television. Now the headlines. WAEC releases the 2023 Senior School Certificate Examination results. Israeli police kills Palestinian man at the Al-Aqsa Mosque entrance in the occupied West Bank. Pope Francis was full of jokes as he left hospital in Rome after respiratory infection. My name is Damilola Raphael. We begin in Nigeria, where the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, has released the West African Senior School Certificate Examination results for private candidates in the first series for 2023. However, out of the 8,348 candidates that sat for the exam, the council withheld the results of 413 candidates due to varied cases of examination malpractice. According to the head National Office, WAEC Nigeria, Patrick Aregan, 4,161 males sat for the exam, while the remaining 4,187 were female, representing 49.84% and 50.16% respectively. He said the cases of the 413 candidates whose results were seized are being investigated, and reports of the investigations will be presented to the appropriate committee of the council in due course. Mr. Aragan revealed that 2,960 out of the 8,348 candidates obtained credit and above in a minimum of 5 subjects with or without English and mathematics, while 2,003 candidates obtained credit and above in a minimum of 5 subjects, including English and mathematics. To security matters, troops of one mechanized division of the Nigerian Army have neutralized 5 bandits during a clearance operation in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. The acting Deputy Director, Army Public Relations of the division, Lieutenant Colonel Musa Yahaya, made this known in a statement yesterday. He disclosed that the troops carried out the operation along the Kanti-Tantatu Road in Kubusu Forest and Castle Hills general area of the area. He further revealed that during the operation that lasted several hours, the troops neutralized 5 bandits, recovered 4 AK-47 rifles, 6 AK-47 magazines, and 24 rounds of 7.62mm caliber. In Africa, Syria's foreign minister met his Egyptian counterpart in Cairo today, the latest sign of Arab states mending ties with President Bashar al-Assad. Faisal Mekdad was embraced by Sameh Shukri as he arrived at the Egyptian Foreign Ministry, the first official trip since before the uprising and conflict that began in Syria in 2011. President Assad was shunned by many Western and Arab states due to the war in Syria, which splintered the country and left hundreds of thousands of people dead. It was gathered that the visit was aimed at putting in place steps for Syria's return to the Arab League through Egyptian and Saudi Arabian mediation. The Cairo-based Arab League suspended Syria's membership in 2011, and many Arab states pulled their envoys out of Damascus. To the Russia-Ukraine war, Russia's routine spring conscription has begun. The RBK portal reported, citing a decree by President Vladimir Putin. According to Vladimir Smolyansky, Rear Admiral of the General Staff, around 147,000 of the 700,000 potential conscripts have been called up, but none would go to fight in Ukraine. The first of the 2 campaigns this year will last until July 15. Russian men between the ages of 18 and 27 are required to carry out at least 1 year of military service. Meanwhile, Russia has taken the presidency of the United Nations Security Council despite Ukraine urging members to block the move. Each of the Council's 15 members takes up the presidency for a month on a rotating pattern. The last time Russia held the presidency, February 2022, it launched the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. It means the Security Council is being led by a country whose president is subject to an international arrest warrant for alleged war crimes. Despite Ukraine's complaints, the United States said it could not block Russia, a prominent council member, from assuming the presidency. The other prominent members of the council are the UK, US, France, and China. The role is mostly procedural, but Moscow's ambassador to the UN, Vasily Nebenzia, told the Russian TASS news agency that he planned to oversee several debates, including one on arms control. Amid a standoff between the Ukrainian government and the world-famous Monastery of the Caves in Kyiv, police have searched the home of the monastery's head, Metropolitan Pavel. Mr. Pavel, in a video released by Russia's state media, said the police disclosed to him that he was suspected of working for Moscow. He revealed that he was also summoned for questioning on charges of religious agitation and insulting the Ukrainian president, accusations which he denied. The dispute over the use of the cave monastery has been going on for months, with the Ukrainian leadership accusing the Ukrainian Orthodox Church of running espionage and agitation for Moscow. Meanwhile, hundreds of people gathered outside the historic monastery to protest the raid of the leading clergyman home by security services. In the meantime, Germany's military cannot completely fill its existing gaps by 2030 as Berlin seeks to revamp its armed forces after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Defense Minister Boris Pistorius made this known in an interview with Welt am Sonntag newspaper, stating that it will take years to fill the gap. Already worn down by decades of underinvestment since the end of the Cold War, the Bundeswehr is in even worse shape than a year ago, given weapons and munitions donated to Ukraine have mostly not been replaced, according to experts. Mr. Pistorius rejected further arms deliveries to Ukraine from the Bundeswehr stocks beyond the announced commitment, adding that the country has a limited inventory. The minister, who was appointed earlier this year, said increasing the defense budgets to reach the NATO spending target of 2% of national output from currently around 1.5% was his highest priority. Elsewhere in Europe, a series of avalanches in Norway's far north has claimed the lives of 4 people, police say. In the most deadly incident, a house and barn was swept into the sea on the island of Frøya. According to authorities, the 2 people and 140 goats in the barn at the time were confirmed dead. 2 tourists were killed in 2 other avalanches. Both are believed to be foreigners, although their nationalities are not yet known. In the first avalanche in Langen, 1 person died and 2 others were hurt. Police spokesman Morten Petersen disclosed to newsmen that there were 5 people of foreign origin that were on an outing in the area. The spokesman added that while 1 lost his life, 2 others were hurt, 1 critically and 1 with moderate injuries. In the Middle East, Israeli police have shot and killed a Palestinian man at an entrance to the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, raising fears of further violence. The 26-year-old Mohammed Khalid Al-Usaibi was shot at about midnight near the Chain Gate, an access point to the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in the occupied East Jerusalem. Palestinian worshippers at the entrance to the site said police shot the man at least 10 times after he tried to prevent them from harassing a woman who was on her way to the holy compound. However, Israeli police allege that Al-Usaibi tried to take a gun from an officer and fired it in a scuffle. Israeli police have boosted their forces in the area as tens of thousands of Muslim worshippers from Jerusalem and the Israeli-occupied West Bank gather for Ramadan prayers at the mosque. You're watching Spring Global on Western Spring Television. This break.
Adolf Hitler exudes a gale of bile from millions of people who were victims of his autocratic rule and love, from fanatical supporters of his imperial aggression. Born April 20, 1889, at a small Austrian town sandwiched between Austro-German frontier, Adolf Hitler spent most of his childhood in Linz, the capital of Upper Austria. As a very prominent stakeholder in the horrific events of conflicts in Europe, Adolf Hitler could simply go off as the sole mover of the Second World War. 40 million Jews were murdered in the gas chambers of various Nazi camps on the orders of Adolf Hitler. Thousands of Adolf Hitlers still live in Germany today, but the majority of them are elderly and were named before the end of the Second World War. As the name pales into vanishing rarity, 13 children, according to official records, were named Adolf Hitler between 2006 and 2013. Western Spring Television identifies Adolf Hitler as a major character in history. Ahmadu Bello, a Prince Royal, was born 6th of December 1910 at Raba Village, Sokoto, northwestern Nigeria. His father was a district head and heir apparent to the Sultanate throne from the house of Usmanu Danfodio, a religious and social reformer who brought the Habib dynasty under the Fulani Caliphate in the beginning of the 19th century. Ahmadu Bello raised the bar of political consciousness and participation when, in 1944, he engineered the establishment of the Northern People's Congress (NPC) as the first political party in northern Nigeria and the rallying point for politicians in the region before independence. History will not forget Ahmadu Bello for his charisma and political sagacity, which provided easy passage for his kinsmen to assume political and administrative positions in Nigeria's post-independence era. The distinguished elder statesman and Sardauna of Sokoto has his face on his country's 200 naira currency as a mark of honor to one of the architects of Nigeria's independence. Western Spring Television identifies Ahmadu Bello as a watershed character in history.
You're welcome back. Let's have you more stories. Pope Francis has joked that he is still alive as he left hospital in Rome after a 3-day stay. He was admitted to Gemelli Hospital midweek with breathing difficulties and later diagnosed with bronchitis. The Vatican had said he was responding to antibiotics and would be released today, depending on test results. The 86-year-old pontiff was seen smiling and waving from the car before getting out to speak to a crowd. He then headed for the Vatican. The Pope's admission to hospital came ahead of the busiest week in the Christian calendar to mark Easter. Holy Week, as it is known, includes a busy schedule of events and services that can be physically demanding. In the United States, a fast tornado blasted through the state of Arkansas, killing at least 3 people and injuring dozens others. The twister shattered roofs and walls from many buildings, flipped over vehicles, and downed trees and power lines early this morning. The governor of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, said 2 fatalities occurred in Wayne, about 100 miles east of Little Rock. Although more than 30 people were taken to hospital in the Little Rock area, none died as of last night. Little Rock Mayor Frank Scott Jr. revealed this, adding that the count remained imprecise. Meanwhile, a blast of extreme spring weather swept much of the United States yesterday, menacing the nation's midsection from Texas to the Great Lakes with thunderstorms and tornadoes. The storm caused 3 fatalities in Sullivan County, Indiana, Emergency Management Director Jim Pertle said.
Today has been a very hard day for the state of Arkansas, but the goodness of this is that Arkansas and Arkansans are tough and we are resilient, and no matter what comes our way, we will get back up the next day and keep moving. We will help our neighbors. We will ensure that every Arkansan who needs assistance has it. Our message and our mission is really simple. The people come first and the paperwork will come second.
In Asia, 10 Chinese aircraft crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait, normally an unofficial barrier between the two sides. Taiwan's defense ministry confirmed the incident, revealing that 9 Chinese fighter jets and 1 military drone crossed the median line in the last 24 hours. It disclosed that the military sent combat aircraft to warn away the Chinese aircraft, while missile systems monitored the crafts. Taiwan, which China claims as its own territory, has complained in recent years of almost daily missions by the Chinese Air Force near the democratically governed island. Beijing has threatened unspecified retaliation if Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen, now traveling in Central America, should meet United States House of Representatives Speaker Kevin McCarthy as she transits through the U.S. on her trip to Latin America. A stampede at a Ramadan food distribution center in Pakistan's southern city of Karachi has killed at least 11 people, all women and children. According to police and rescue officials, several others were also injured in the incident yesterday, which happened when hundreds of people panicked and started pushing each other to collect food outside the factory. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Bilawal Zardari ordered authorities to investigate what caused the incident. It is the deadliest stampede at Ramadan food distribution points since the start of the Muslim holy month of fasting last week. With the latest incident, the death toll from stampedes at free food centers across the country has risen to at least 19 since the start of Ramadan. Cash-strapped Pakistan faces one of the worst economic crises of its history, with millions of people struggling to put food on the table amid a deepening cost of living crisis. In other news, the European Central Bank ECB says it is monitoring current market tensions closely and will act to preserve price and financial stability in the euro area. The ECB Vice President Luis de Guindos disclosed this in a speech at the Ambrosetti Business Forum in northern Italy today. Mr. de Guindos stated that in the bank's view, vulnerabilities in the financial system prevail in the non-bank financial sector, which grew fast and increased its risk-taking during the low interest rate environment. And talking sports, Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola says his side were perfect despite conceding a goal in the 4-1 thrashing of Liverpool. He stated that Liverpool was always a threat in transition, but his side played really well, noting that this was one of the best performances in his 7 years in charge of the club. Guardiola, speaking to BT Sport after the game, said his side was perfect from minute 1 to minute 93, even though a goal was conceded. Mohamed Salah opened the scoring in the 17th minute before Julian Alvarez equalized for the home side 10 minutes later. Kevin De Bruyne made it 2-1 just a little over a minute after the restart, before goals by Ilkay Gundogan and Jack Grealish secured the win for the blue side of Manchester.
No game. The first minute and the 93. So even we were 1-0 down, the game it made an incredible build-up with in one tempo, and after we were quicker and we changed the rhythm in the final third. So all the play, absolutely everything, everyone was at their top. Yes, but we analyzed the episodes and nothing involved. And before that, Riyad had 2 chances. So, but it's the way we play. So always had to be, the results had to try to be the consequences the way we play, and today was really, really good. Of course, with 2-0 down will be more difficult, but even with the boost to concede the goal, the 0-1, we were playing good before, and after, yeah, we could, yeah, but I prefer don't review what happened time ago in many places, so it was not yellow card, the second one, so that's all.
And away from football, the International Olympic Committee, IOC, has criticized Ukraine's decision not to allow Ukrainian athletes to take part in 2024 Paris Olympics qualifying events if they have to compete against Russians. The Ukrainian government minister Oleg Nemchinov announced the policy yesterday after the IOC issued recommendations on Tuesday for the gradual return to international competition for Russian and Belarusian athletes as neutrals. Athletes from the two countries have been banned from most elite international sporting competitions since March 2022, following Russia's invasion of Ukraine the previous month. The Olympic body, in a statement this morning, said if implemented, the decision would only hurt the Ukrainian athletes community and in no way impacts the war that the world wants to stop. The IOC maintained that it is not up to governments to decide which athletes can participate in which international competitions. And before we end Spring Global, here is a recap of our top stories. The West African Examinations Council, WAEC, has announced that it has released the West African Senior School Certificate Examination results for private candidates in the first series for 2023. Israeli police have shot and killed a Palestinian man at an entrance to the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, raising fears of further violence. Pope Francis has joked that he is still alive as he left hospital in Rome after a 3-day stay. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel on Western Spring Television. I am Damilola Raphael. Thanks for watching. Do have a restful evening.